Hey guys, long time no see. I know it's been a minute since I've made a video, but that's just because I went through a huge transition, and it's kind of the topic of today's video. But real quick, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Derek. I run Derek's Q Art. I'm a digital designer and multimedia artist, and on this channel we talk about anything creative careers, anything art related that I just want to talk about. So the topic of today's video is, what's it like to transition from one creative job to another? I kind of want to talk about the do's and don'ts and each step of the process and why. And to kind of start it off, I want to talk about my current career transition. I used to work an agency job and I just moved to an in-house position at a pretty big brand. I don't want to name the brand for exposure issues or NDA stuff that I really didn't read, but it's going to be on my LinkedIn that I link in every bottom description of all of my videos. And the brand is in the streetwear and reselling space. If you have or wanted any hints about what it possibly could be, leave your guess in the comments and then check my LinkedIn and come back. But yeah, I just went through a huge career transition. It's from an agency job to an in-house position. I did it for several reasons, but we're going to get into that later in the video. First off, I wanted to start off when you get a new job, when you have your current job. And I kind of made a to-do list, and I'm going to be leaving that list in the description down below. But I wanted to go through each step. And when quitting any job, the first thing you need to do is let the person in charge of you know first. You want to make this whole process as graceful and smooth as possible for everybody. It is a small industry, and you want to be respectful to everybody involved. So by letting the person in charge of you know first, they don't hear about it through the grapevine or through a rumor. And it's the most professional thing to do. Make sure that you have a written letter prepared on why you're quitting and your end date, and just kind of outlining what you think the offboarding process is going to be looking like in that one little letter. When you are talking to the person in charge of you, ask the company if they have an offboarding process that you and them would like to follow. Especially in the tech era, I'm pretty sure most companies have a very detailed offboarding process, and you just want to make sure that you have all of your T's crossed and I's dotted. Now, the next thing that you want to do is prepare thank you letters and what you would like to tell your other coworkers. During this transition period, your boss and you are in charge of how this is all going to be framed, and hopefully you're in a healthy work environment where they're happy that you found a better opportunity. And thank you letters for those who played a very important role in your time at the position, or at least make sure that you express gratitude to those people who really helped you through your time while working there. It is a small industry, and I'm going to stress that. Try to leave a positive impression with everybody. Even if they weren't your favorite person to work with, you may not know who they know. And the 6 degrees of separation, more like a 2 to 3 degrees of separation in this industry. So you have to be positive and make sure everybody knows that you're not leaving for a vindictive reason. Now, they may detail this in your offboarding process, but before you hand in your electronics on your last day, make sure to wipe away any files and internet search history you'd like to keep private. Like I said, this is a small industry, and you never know what they may find when you hand it back. And you just want to make sure that you didn't accidentally break any contract or anything, and just making sure everything's wiped away is an important step for you and the company. And the next thing that you need to do is just make sure all of your projects are closed and accounted for. That was a huge thing for me when I put in my 2 weeks, and make sure anybody who's helping you transition to the new job knows what your ideal start date is going to be, and you should negotiate that before you get the job offer. And so just make sure all of your projects are closed, or they can be easily handed off. And now this next step is super important. Also, excuse any background noise. I just moved to a new apartment, and it has a loud AC and a loud refrigerator. All right, on to the next step. Try to give only actionable advice during your exit interview, and try to make the whole process graceful. I made sure to let my company know the exact reasons why I was leaving, what it was like working on the team, what it was like working with my boss. But overall, try to only give advice you feel like they would actually change while you leave. And if you have no complaints, even better. Make sure to know them all the positive things as well. Now, for the middle part of the video, this is something I wanted to talk about, is why you should quit for a new job and why other designers would do it as well. And this isn't a personal reason, this is a reason that no one should take personal in this process. But the first reason why people would quit for a new job is for a pay bump and better benefit. In this career and almost any job, they're going to try to undercut you and keep stuff away from you. And so most annual raises at most jobs are between like 4 and 5%, and that isn't going to keep up with the average rate of inflation. So it's becoming an industry trend, and has been, especially in the creative industry, to leave after 1 or 2 years. It's not something you should feel bad about. And also, a lot of designers are through contract anyways, and so them leaving isn't a big problem. But I know a lot of this is for mostly full-time employees. And then the next reason why you should quit your job is grow your skills and learn how to work with different teams. In this industry, you don't want to stagnate your growth. Those who stay in a small pond for too long when they've outgrown it stagnate horribly in this industry, and they just retain to one style, and they learn a lot of bad habits or habits that are only specific to their team. But when you're moving on to a new job every 1 to 2 years, it keeps you on your toes and it improves your skills. And it also expands your network, and over time helps you grow your career. Expanding your network and making sure that you have key players within that will help progress your career is super important. I'm not saying all your relationships should be transactional, but get to know people who you feel are going to be long-term professional companions and peers. And then the next reason is it allows you to pursue work that fits your career goal. Everyone is trying to get something different out of the creative industry, and so it could be a big project, it could be working with a particular brand, and job hopping allows you to do that. Moving from one job to another will get you just that one step closer to the big projects that you've always wanted to do. Some people are lucky and they start out with that as their first job, but for a lot of people, they get stuck out in production roles and eventually they end up working on bigger campaigns and bigger projects. It takes time, and not that many people can have their career look like that overnight. And those kind of consolidate a lot of the reasons why I did a recent career hop. Now, I want to outline the next step in this transition, what to do when starting your new job. The first thing, and this is usually outlined in your interview process, or you should have known for your interview process, but it's still an active thing you need to keep an eye on, is make sure your role is clearly defined within your first 2 weeks, if not the first week. If you can get it in writing, the better. You want to know what you're accountable for on the team and how you can best serve them. This whole negotiation process of where you are on the team or what's in the job description is going to play crucial into any type of reference material or how your boss is going to judge your work henceforth. The next important thing to do is meet all of your coworkers and establish rapport and actually get to know them. Pay attention to what they say when you first meet them in a Zoom meeting. And I know it's over remote, but there's chat, and hit them up, ask them questions, even if you might already know it. It's just a good way to get to know them better, get them more comfortable talking to you, because these are going to be your peers for the next year or two, and possibly potential network connections. And you never know where everybody's going to end up, but it's good to just have good rapport with all the people that you work with and that they feel like they can just talk to you. The next important step is study the brand and how your coworkers work and what that work looks like. Every workplace has a standard set of quality, and you need to pay attention to that as a designer. What does the average set of assets deliverables look like? How can you match them? How are they using the brand? Why can't they do this? Why can't they do that? Study the brand guide, know what it can do. And you're not going to get all of it at first, and your art director or the person in charge of you knows that you're going to break brand or do a couple missteps your first couple of projects, but it's super important to know the limitations of who you're working with and why you do what you do. And this is the next step, is make sure you have all the tools you need to do your job with as soon as possible. first 2 to 3 weeks at the latest. You can just work off of a laptop, but if they need a dual monitor, let them know. You want to be able to succeed as best as possible, and going through all of these HR overhoops, especially in a remote environment, is super important. All right, that covers roughly of what I wanted to talk about, and sorry for the delay in videos. It's been a huge transition period. I not only did start a new job, I moved from Michigan to Chicago, and a lot of why I moved was for career opportunities. And so I might be doing a follow-up to this video in the future. Please submit any questions, vet who I am. I know I mentioned my LinkedIn already, but check my portfolio, check my Instagram. Please find out if you actually want to care about what my advice is. There's many different opinions on this topic, and always seek out differing opinions. All right, thank you for listening today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.